yagoyangan naulup ilo elgan ralevan raini kana lel garuj kamolo lanich iman menodam jij kan kar kainan ramman kan kajbaro kainan ngan kejo jalep cuy narangan kubaduk ilan rumini arong rongin kan kajbaro anani ngan kejo kajojo kiloan project ilo ministerio itu bodoh yalwar dok kai melalui erumichirik kan karena NITIJELA kakije boleh minister kakajurut komisioner yang ne emyan modok agilar kejabarugian anu tapa ya kan pukul kapan schedule na nelgan relevan rainin da kini pun malam odem kemana yaron nungguin hari penro rebo jakdo every per ilo table inuman CMI President Haraj kapa rejar balin matan jadi kamolo le ro ganai ro karena orang ko batu gilo elgan relevan rain ini orang not ber reservoir rain chen Ministry on Finance Secretary ayago kap Deputy Secretary rain andro barano reservoir rain an NITIJELA malah betada kamolo lobe ayago anet ker one man army charwal gena elgan relevan rain ini be enotok pujen Captain General ya noto gilo sigin yaron ini lo yenin kau di jarang oleh me bere perang nganro rong jage yerin kin lo algan relevan rainin da ro ilo ailenkin me number representative ever duri lidada Senator Chairman David Anidok Janailup Tagod Vice Speaker Isaac Zagraya Jan Highland Lawlap Miji Duru Minister David Paul Jan Kwajalin to Army Marangu ever Rugelo Jan Mille Senator Chairman Wilbur Aini and Barano ever Senator Junjan Island Kwajalin, Senator Katalang Kabua. I am LC project Ru Jagane, Kala, and I ban who Tagdan Newman. Tablet dengan dia ke dalam Elevinchet yenwo charle lognanan technician rain kamarmari kinjer balgain chejerol dokia ali karge trabai kanujin mor emraya guj replace emgabar walok chujagin atwalik Ministry of Finance jab kagali kinjer balgain jenis sespene aliben yerengkein malok aga perjuangan kamololani kamolol we emodok minister arut minister sagios minister yarwaj kurmana ot siamaya garge chagar katar toguga kiyo komodok koyme iman kone yaji yen gane armalok ipen green human ministry na kuncuju memalot mencaprot belala japrot dengan kokonan pailu ini maaf
kumaldada chairman adding yang mudah jenana pokona ilo dan ministry yang cegin cala laujan yukure kapkadagan emrage nimrech yake jelipe yana kuba lo charwaram kamolol gan training kule rodrien kaudejer alip yogoba train ruwela garin rode rain mataro ilo kamidena an kechimach obijan president cabinet NITIJELA irojoroar ilo moyer honor emal birojoroar alip armijina ilenkein rugagiro rujarbarina an chigin chala lojan laptada rujuguro nijir ilo chigin chala lojan jan klajo ilal dada manro ilo college of university ro rujperi ligan clearum kaudijer kajaram manir lo ichino an chugulo rainin megardai ilum techo melichoko komolgan mogdada kanam karum ledok chon melim an karum jolog yon rong jagayo an chigin chala lojan mragain chijilim jonim rojake jelipe gan yenin nganam jang marong nidok in ledok kattabargo man chigin chala lojan yo PSS CMI USP Scholarship Grant Loan Board National Training Council ijo me ledo pebago man rugagiro at kali karge jer pakado ko ngachane jilale pajadane an chicken jala lojan ego baale prarikein perin pen meuripen lapata ilo kachema yoman keni jet kamolol gan wawini jet kamolol ba keni kile aur in jala lojan chongon ne jidok man chicken jala lojan rage nole lemongol jon million yamor radum jon thousand chiljino pugi chijilmi jon lalim dala lapata yana ben pajadane agilo labata dain kwalo ke alaba igujo emenali karo chemme igchena igujim ke jong me mon mano jum pe benado ila barbaminin chuan erro labala po chigin chala lo jena mal bragain ran kajibaro pen worto jen chen gain emrojidok chen ro ri chibang ge mo jige nar armijin mayo ngan charbalgo ilo chigin chala lo jen pe chen maron kagir mol ke chala lo jen kalik chuan armi chon chujugun ber kajaram mon chon la chigin chala lo jen ragen reje ke lipen elem chon thousand lima bugu ilmo lemen rojar balie labada ilo chigin charwal wan keni chonin wawin te jalikar ilo ani dok chongan chen bar redal kellang da men go mayen kiene no chigin chala lo jen ko mon chugulo malben program ho chigin ka program mo me kajar bali ngan charbal go chele dalok chala lo jen langada ipen PSS yo ijel lagun chonian rago me etaber alben ailungo chonio me iri bagda balagen ijel lagunan taber alben ailungo kammane chap charbalin chala lo jano ai kamane program in najiri hajiri nejir macam ko ba galib chugul ko chungul juma taujin e kamane program ko kenyen nganyen anchu jugun per emerro eno charlo ilo samarogia kameli mem karala kan charbal wari pendro pe rorari dok manekle jao ran marung chugilo munjugulo e kamman em kabelo awro ilo munjugulo yangan yen ko jilang yirim em kamane par charwal ko chat ila wadak chugin jala lagajan e tabar ala family kachuju ilawan majali ila paminin ngajane kalimjak pajadane an PSS perberu yon kapego e changan gal lukun ogodak chen pajado lo rota ujun rongul chilu ijo dage elam jet wawen ko mer yalikar em rajan rayan lagot em rar ogodak enot cheno man ajri ro nijer em ro scholarship kan chimjon bugi lemngol taujin chen general fund ngana illa lajar lo pajadane an PSS em najagal man scholarship yo eballang wawen ko chet me rarbar udak ninai kamele ilo kamele lalo ilo ro taujin em rongo galim ye ni jigab chamala chikin chala lagajan MPS yo rar merongen power walam point ro million tala ko yigejen wawen ko me rai arai ujin kajar bali wawen ngain rare galo lo yein kan chiljino million ilo an gar changen lang alikar ino cheno an marong no dak chan roto jun rongul julu chaniye ina di lajar ka wawen ko rar kamman ba lalim point ro em walling ngan chiljino chuan e chenin chibanga me jadal ngan e chibango ngan chugul ho chet ilawun chugul kan kien me em jan tabo chen chimjon bugi radim jon lalim taujin ngan rainin imna jiye chuan boing lalim radim jon million yo chuan e mangen raile ba najir engane me nyang labala ngan ro point emen yo chuan e herregala kon wanen regagiro em yo me anybody along labala kon wanen minimum wage ngan chuan point chiljino million kap wawen go me e gar raridok ngan PSS ilawargi loro jage emerro yimoni kurego em chigni kurego wawen go gain em ra lajrak pen marong lagalak ai guje ngan PSS em ilar kamani wawen gain em gar marong tabar bajin marong ka jabarok chen wan kien char puk chen go rari go jen lal go iligin kap gran go kencangani nemen point chilu million ngan ar marong lolo jaga wawen gain ila cha wawen inot e gar galem ma chen go ngai tenat ka jarbali chen gain mal lagot εγώ έτσι με τσιόνα τα άλλα ρίδο ένα άτμα. Η λογία είναι περίπτω. Και εμδιάρει με αυτό είναι πατζόνα με αρτσίνο μάιντσι πόγο ανάγερρο νεγέριμ τζέβαρ καμόλο καντσάμαν 인치루 포인트원 밀리언. 이 λογία μάνο 난 가가지고 에러가 있는 자발게 em tayo PSS em chikin jala lo injilor jaga. Trainin elang join program ngan podok lemangul rugagi roar jen chukujukun pergo iligun paran pok leap education leap paran kakajor lok em pok laijen wire reno rugagi ngan kakajor charbal wire poen labelok tokojan ko em chalayo per ngan air kading najiri ro nijir ijil lagun en tabar alip chugulo ilo chukujukun pergo Wanan wawini nene abu ichilungu ro taujen wanan ragagi rain ko ba chilubu taujen ilo air pelle chikin jala lagu echala kachita karaini jelo erregala gun wanan meur ilo anu gotak elang wawino chuan kamolol bim yang labala wanan ragagi ro armi jero ro charbal jene ngane mandala wangan ne nemen lemongo lo ye e bar kali kar erregala bajadana em chene barai uji wawini ilo cha wawini not chala kachiaman kalikar men gain elam konar em jonian wawin ko kam janga lodur jaga em cherbal matanjir gerila e lukun lane chede reserva repair kamane jon etale enod punun kan chede reserva repair lo chikin chala la ko jana man lukun lane ke rejimoi jogo repari el mair pe ba ko rakar ren pokonen ko rakar em rejido tak man katta ber ko rakar man kalak chala lo jan no ailan ke China ke nawale pitch kamolol kienyo rora charwal pe char kanak jen ACG yo ilo terrain pada bilar pa menin kamolol ka lo chon tere ngai chalak ene dalam na chenen innem chawi bar pigochet pungdano ha ke kamolol balon wawin rejab kakajolok chalalo janot are kakajolok uino ipenajiri gair pek chalalo jan ainum mane air emerre kala gair. Okay, Mr. Chairman, Umrain Nuwan Committee na. Ganan kamolol gan pajadin payalikar. Ngayon wawin ko may chajay ujin pugod clear tani kadekit. Ilo ar kachiyong pugod. Organ ceiling na pajan yun gan committee na. Rangan NITIJELA pa ko pene pajadin an kienyo. Alikdada. All when wawin gain. Ilo kata berewar, ngan ledo cuan, cerbalin cala lagu jano, me iyo lijek, ekajur, lukun lelok cala lagu jan, ngan taberak ngan ajuri rein nejit. Enodan present pa, olivi enodum jet, mi kairwan nane gainan, cala lagu jan, kale mendada, ngan cuan armit, ceraman yang ngan cuan la. Agi jua cala lagu jan, meuru ngan lawin. Komol dada anji perjam ceraman ngan tamjine kami yang naik projek in kalau projek ini nam jang cerbal orang acitoko ngan lewat melelewo.
Komol minister ilo kepala gua ya kamolo lalep coba beri melalukan kile awalnya pak kile minister kene paling udah aja kerana jam lewat kile ko arum untuk kile nganiuk kau tuju ko mahal ben rain lo ministerian ko jerugi kia. Airan kam mololo kene ilo mol yar no diak ijep ko alok ke ilo yarong rong ke nge chang darong kene no dengan pajatane nambagane jep perkene no gan wawan go jet accomplishment challenges katabarwan bobi jigane menugin be evorian report dilongan NITIJELA cici takun kenono dagan pajatone han bobi jigane ami especially rainin ngai kaji de wajanda chen jab kanujin karbe bolok awenaro kenono penron bo chuguli jan chino bodlok tangal gain Harga berjalan kerailep, ini dalam jalan minister. Harga cakron, pakai juta kau mengapa? Iru menciri. Aku ni orang ini bayam naga yam jana ke komisioner ramai. Aku juga mana tak ke? Ini kalau baju war kaji tu ko cuma memberin kemidi. Finance secretary warga cabrot konan kejala kari kaga kari awak cabrot dia ngai konan bukonam cujim one mai kana bajan lo Mr. Minister anu tampak konan kecigi yang kanan rangana ilo human ministry nam nai bolincino ceno bijinam and commissioner ne niri relok wacha bro ko gurmada kem jan CMI position kariri ag elange ema chabro janjane Mr. ina giya kadalog yani ngan nambarin committee ngai orai kajir yet palay
na kumol chairman en odam kalikar jadi do ko dengan nambakan balen kam janga jorong jage bumne kaji do nambakan alik perveru dion pajadan raberi man mejamiang eleng jet peva jalio dengan presentation aku manage perkara kali
komolot China igile karai jiniru chuan ilo NITIJELA sanadar katalang kapua kan kaji tu kuang ngayor cuma malot
Mondada chairman mingan mondada nebarum kamole lanit claim kau de jawle brodian kau de jer Penelinan ministerioan calalagan minister cheral kap rain rejar balipam human division kap department ko kacuyo rejar rainan nitijela kap finance P7AB NTA chun kilangan yok chairman kap rainuan kamitinan keceme chun kilangan awal barmenjen majo chairman nilo rauni ni mantada pero diyon nampake ilo pajadin dedok ngai merong lelak kacitagina cinuntadangan PSS kami jenar ak minister kumarong cuyum par kami lagi cirik idea part CA cunian program ko jen US federal Cibangai ayiro nejin me war majono ko ilo en punir ilo an walok ilo budget schedule cep kalikar idea pat pigasi nga komeron chojum de do chirigap te pe ilo korono ko ipena merga campaign negotiation ko jar marun karalang idea part C pe mo dalak arja prelang eno chuni ancaraman ko ar human koni ni kan lalagain ro agaligan campaign chilu emejan ali karage jamarong para access programin ngai komarong ledok ciri kamela ngan armi jana ilang kai ni kitchen programin ngai do marong chino roll out eno to ke chelo ke na ere bagalak early education ilo majalin kachito cuan ngan MISGLP scholarship podo mereka karalang oleh department human tahun ini cina ngan ini lewat kacau ini nam komuwa
the server member kajian we ada je kacau kena ngan ministry per je coba nge unmandak project
okay
kau mereka kacau kana
okay
Commissioner Cholaberda, Minister. Do you need translation? Or you're... Oh, okay.
Save time.
Malot.
Kumala Minister, ini pag ciri misalnya Commissioner ini karya bakal. Kiloan budgetnya Senator kedua IDA Part B adalah hijau itu elang chain ko menjadi itu, man kap kedua IDA Part C. Ilmu idea part B, Chinojan, Yagane, Langalak, and Long and Chongoralik Chilu, a idea part C, Ejitokia, and Karelang and Wong and Chilu, Emjan River, Ijalagun Wawan, Ijalagun Abalang Chibango, and Madame Chala, Regitojan, Chibangojan Ligan, multilateral donor agency, and World Bank, Asian Development Bank, Mandul Jagatarwal name Ejalat. Ajri rejik kaprelang majano yen penir ilo rainin eleng cuan an chen World Bank cibang man lulu jaga eroganem calalone igi autism me ebar matan labalake agait man wa kajitu ayat aina ilalangan commissioner payan war kari bawala ngajalang matmal kumon.
Okay. Komotata, thank you for having us here today. My respects to the chair and ministers and senators here. I'm getting translating services here from Teresa, so I really want to appreciate her, but I am, just to be honest, missing a significant chunk of what's going on, so I'll try my best to answer, and if I'm ignoring a part of your question, please ask again, because it's not intentional that I would ignore a part of your question. The reason why we don't have IDEA Part C is that we don't have some of the required resources in the country to qualify to receive it. So even, for example, like CNMI and some other places don't receive it because of the type of early childhood resources. So we were able to include some financial resources in IDEA Part B. And so you might have noticed in the newspaper recently and on our Facebook that we are trying to recruit for some early intervention specialists and other specialized staff that can help with early intervention for children in the earliest grades from sort of birth to age 3. Thank you.
Komol, you mentioned that we don't have resources that would allow us full access of IDEA Part C. This is the Appropriations Committee. What resources, are the resources attainable? Can we attain the resources in order to provide that service?
It would be great if we could think about that in the long term. I think in the short term, we would really be lacking specialized human resources to address those things. I'd be happy to prepare a report for this committee with a delineation of what those needs are and how we might go about recruiting highly trained specialists. A lot of them are more medical intervention type specialists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, people of that nature, as well as facilities to be able to work with students that have those kind of specialized needs.
Okay, thank you. Kajituin chuan jangan scholarship ngajilolo pajutin kay award chuan aton timinyon pugi lemungol tawin ngay taraktaro merong konono cirikake atonin
Institute Litigation Scholarship ngan lugun kali karek wawen nage ejerigal lakoyo chen garang labalok award yo NITIJELA manajeri emengana emyan walang lang chen jimyon builem ngon ngan chon point wal ak ejidok emengana ilo pajituna char gawe emarong kalaya kare aji bajidok chuli dan manan kumon
Minister question magdoi kaya one man of gear kaya we no to eleven radical human ministerian ego ba minister ka commissioner number ramon kajide shaparat kain kajide ngana eleven rainiman em kariri lok round june em ngewa round ro jane walle wajak sanada kelang kumang Mone kajidu gari damani a scholarship to you malad muang
Ayagay, Yokalep, Jerem, Benelnik, Amolal Kapchidega, Janitor Kudlang. Ilo, Chalamanda Pitine, Raldo Jangar, Kanter Moda. Imgia, Mjer, Kabayara, Karangan. Kuela Kuelo, Kartemperio. Langar Illusion get Japai will of Dok Jen, Kandangan scholarship. Kia Mjer, the general fund, that's why it and I made 750 and later on Kabel about scholarship and the quarter. Mall may work.
Kumol kuno ba chep kail chimyon pugil le mungol tawjini pada eukodak soisin. Okay, mol. Eman Chairman Ronchwen ebenga mol.
Kumol Senator Kadua. Chagiana Kule. Senator Chairman Wilbur Aini pada kenage ebulana rongjage Yaron Gain, Miani the June BYO image quality ministry in a Gobal of Radi Rane, totaling Pajatana and FY26, a Chijino million, Chuburan Jongol Chimpion thousand, Robwichin Muro, Chetmanigora Lavim, Tamagana Kagai Vigana and ministry in it. Or Yogova Olivan Radiga, and not happen. Senator Chairman Jojimon Malawat Wilbur.
Kumol, Mr. Chairman, Monokanam Kulega Rolo Yenin, and Chichu the Kajidik, Lo Ronin Man, Joey and Porquala Gilliam called the Yolip, Rain Darko, Ministry in Gawala and the Java Rain. Yawalem called the youth commitment. Chona Kajidik Chinada Kitchen and PSS, Laror Juna Rangar Initiative, Kajan Kujan Kuno Manda Kitchen distance learning and Outer Island. Comaroge Ledo Captain Project Jane, Cheverdogia Kitchen. Our common Kadin Majorim, Telefaji Longan, Chulu Warla, Outer Island, Alaptada Kitchen. Kadagun Punaban im Kono Menuela, Odilo, Kilayan Kilachuan and Chilu, Norvelo Chirik update mall.
Arjunalen, Ilo hearing gainan, APPRO, Chojim, name your Kamanaka Jidagan, Chojim, all of the Muang ever. Nijela by way, Chelawaki Ajani to go to Waga. I'm just Parkajola and Germany way, Ebuian. I'm going to change again. Chojima Malot.
Okay, I just want to get one point of clarification. Is this asking about the system transformation grant from the Global Partnership for Education?
I don't understand which source, but what I know is there was an initiative at the PSS to have distance learning to the Outer Island Elementary School. So I don't know which source of fund is that, but I'm just curious as to whether, because I don't see the distance learning in the budget outline. If you can do that, please. Thank you.
Okay, great question. We're really excited about this, and in fact, so it was through the Global Partnership for Education. They granted the Marshall Islands about $2.5 million, and the money for that just started flowing about a week and a half ago. And so that grant project will bring digital connectivity to all of the elementary schools in the country. That will include Starlink, that will, for neighboring islands in particular, that will include solar panels in places where there's currently not energy to power the Starlink and the computers. It will also include laptops for teachers and some for student use. That is not in this budget because it will be wholly grant funded for the next 3 years. And then that is in the budget, the full budget submission, though, that was submitted through the BCC. There's a tab called Other Grants, I believe. I'll have to look at it, but I want to say it's maybe the 4th or 5th tab at the bottom, and that grant is included there. Yep.
Okay, Komunidad Natalie, Ewa Rido Gulimurin, Loan Project ni Charwal we, kaya melala ilunit cibang kadagan lo order-alan, elap tada kaya eja we ruagi lo order-alan, awe nalak kino program na ni jala bayar kadagan rujuro ni jadi kecil pen kap mino ciji ilo kelai wor kem bercowojer. John ya berkajidak ilo round John unfunded mandates. Can you explain? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So the unfunded mandates that are listed there include things like when the school lunch program went from $2 per plate to $3 per plate. That was a directive from Cabinet, which I think made a lot of sense because the cost of food goes up, et cetera. We want the food to be more nutritious, but it wasn't accompanied by an increase in the budget ceiling. Another one, for example, was the Minimum Wage Act, which again is really important. We have about 200 of our staff, more than 200 of our staff who earn minimum wage. And so it's really important for them to be able to live better and take care of their family's needs. But again, it wasn't accompanied by an increase in our budget ceiling. And there were many other issues like that one. And so that's what we're referring to as unfunded mandates. So things that came through either cabinet paper or NITIJELA Act that would have a cost to PSS or MOEST that did not receive a corresponding increase in budget ceiling.
So, but then these unfunded have already been funded. Is that correct?
Yeah, the way that we're funding them is through a one-time grant called the Additional Education Assistance Grant. That used to be SEG, but that is going to be depleted in fiscal year 27. And so we're coming up to a bit of a fiscal cliff. So about halfway through fiscal year 27, that grant will be depleted and we'll need additional funding from somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, one final one.
Senator, may mga pagtiripan cholopper. Ilo iyan nga kot kachidak, yung may yarpa, tiyan nga may rojido ko dyan source kaya chad milawan, char kachiyong kakayay ko dyan.
Okay.
Yung ilo iyan na jito kaya dyan kaya wal kartiyan nga ardo dyan supplemental education grant may chon time payment, rongoro million na jito nga chalala ko dyan, may mga ba kaya dyan may kaya wal kaya, ina jadala math kadiyan lo iya ka na chat, dyan jay ko jipot kaya. Higitian Starling na ilunamman pagcicabnet marang lelo bergagiron kadun pujin kelai hat janwar marang lale bergagiron emchugulo ko raja pokonair lo charwadin kadun komol
Kulunamol Minister Commissioner. So because maintenance is one of the important aspect of our properties, and you guys, the ministry has a lot of capital. I'm lost of word, but you have a lot of buildings and material, so forth, that needs maintenance. So I believe that you have found money for maintenance at especially the track and field, because that is a new facility, and as well as the ECC. I always saw the ECC maintenance, but not the track and field. So please, thank you.
Hi there, really good questions also. So for the ECC and the track and field, we were able to convert positions that used to be like at schools or other places within the PSS and allocate them for the maintenance and the security positions, custodial positions, also for a facility engineer, because the type of facilities that those are is a little bit new for the Marshall Islands, so we didn't have that internal skill set. So just a quick breakdown, the custodian's cost is $84,904. Same thing, the security staff cost for those two facilities is $84,240 for the year, and then the facility engineer cost is going to be $39,900 for the year. And then there are additional costs for things like MEC, the power, the big lights and those kinds of things. And we're still working with MEC to get some clarity, but we do know that we received one bill from, say, October 1st until December 31st, and that was $124,000. And so it's a huge amount of money, and we're trying to work it out with them to find out, is some of this maybe from the prior period, but there are enormous expenses, and we're committed to finding the money if we can, because we also know that it's really important for student well-being to have access to athletics and other kind of wellness activities.
Como Senator Chairman Wilbur Ainigan Kajiduko Amramban, George Marong Malala, and George Marong Page, former Minister in Finance, Education by Jalata, Ekanogage, Morgan Kajiduko Am. Euro Chuanan, Chiakajiduk, Kilo Yanin, and Minister Paul, and Chuan Kajiduka, and Monoboy. Ikamana give army in any other or Lydia Naiji, Ren Chalaga Ngai follow up, Igijan, Ligabri Ricolo, Chulo Island. Mr. Minister Ngai Kajid Ibdam, a Japan Commissioner on Agriculture or Najet, Ngai Minister in Ajrino Bedi Munjugulo, Ijo, Tregamro, President Aine. O pelen Chinoni, Jardam Lojet, Chorano, Japor, Daglo Shajan Golok, Angan Rainin, a Jangan Kamane, Ijagan Rajar Lomanchulin. Angwe Minister Zagis.
Kumul Chairman and Senator Reddington Kachitagi Nauru. Ilale schedule and repair any wadak, Chulilo, any wadak, a Jaivijan Kakal, Chalakachitak. Imjair Kamane, Kadagam and Tagan Ravich Kamani, Imjan Kaman, well in bit, Mirajuan Malong and I read along and Kamane, Kakalagane, and maintenance and Munjugul and any other elementary. Jadi jaya ujian lebih jari-jari, nggak ada jari dalam pidagin. Agar ahli kerja jadian pidagin, imcar balik air dengan kemana pidagin, kerja jaya uji penron. Poin maka jalak, kena jalak ahli cara balik maintenance kan yang mana jalak kan ilang kerja kencangan jaya kan kerja dengan jalak kerja nak biarkan aja kan maintenance, kerja jaya uji cara balik penron, kerja jalak kamu kerja jalak cirik, ujian marungan kaya bro. Agar apa lah kami yang kerja, kerja tu dalam ayat, ikan in bit yang kemang lalim bit kan kagale mol
ya kumul minister genuawa maidana kana lolok chorre nan be do ar kamani ge jai with bedded out agilo jontre tuya barana amlo tubamana maintenance kamado roman work kamani chorre no ag choran kumul we tijalage Rajajan Kamane, Renovati Munchulo Modajan, Lavodan children. Minister Table Paul, Yenin Najam. Awaja Kamani Nambaraman, Senator Chairman David Aniduk.
Kamol Chairman Edding. Yagoyalek, Kalek Chairman, number 9 committee, Minister on Education, Mr. Jackies, Commissioner in Oliver Rain 1, Dragon Rauragan, Chicken Chalalaganolo, Island Kane. For another call of Kalem Kode, Secretary Rain and Chicken Minister on Finance, Stavin and NITIJELA, we'll see Rain 1, Step on NITIJELA, NTM, but not V7AB. jam lukun lab kacita kerja cicot kacita kicen melala ko jar rumah jaga kia jan minister yo dengan register gai matan wan roilo podan education am kamolo lo elang jo George marang cipang rodom pokonari ilo cara balagai rawruk yo dan kacita kain rajito ko jan elang dia rajito ko jan rejar barareng lo lan kelajo do cikin cala lo jan cara rumah jaga kia ciri overview report dan cara balagai nan PSS elang Cedana cilubukui cuma berkaki kai cedeo. Oh calo ber, ni mengoro berkaki. Raj bajan ni cedeo kom net perlo air, perlo training kongan. Kacang kata ber level ko rakar baran meram perlo an kelajar rumum carapal. Ngai cuma agar power melaleo. Salary kana kacang longan erjang, kuba support ko ngane net perion il kada menengar net pello majoroid nangin ebagalok bugui chimjon bugui ralda bugui tawjin ngai jume call lagana akachito ko oro kana elang yan raga ke rochat kanan par perlo program in bayna dal melala ngane ragan wawen salage karga ke rain mera jidongan yen training nai mauragan training nai aga ngai akachita ko iman kichen ragirana ne morom rai pojan to lo program ke ngaro arbaru to kachita ke chat parailang yan paron ro roilo chugul wala dadalo adralan matanot mangana lo program mangana ngan lunch program nai ko bai kiyo jang karelang to breakfast program nai to program alban aur no tar garno ja kamelo logo jan ministerin ke jen aur gen lalo nutrition ko raur dadangan rore diktada paran merong tabar kelaj room ko pagchala la yan ko rakar meminin aur ngan youtube chakala joan ailing kain kap ngan ajri ro ne je kaleng ka jidagen ngan breakfast program nai aur gen 2.1 million NH polen chelo to eleng yan wawan magdu ko me merong cipang peron ro ilo air katalogo ajri ro paran merong dalam kelaj aga chonna chen law ka jang bar ka cheong ka jarwale ngan fanta ilo iyo ina gal 2.1 million jangan roja ko cirik kamela la dadangan train roja roja ka yiren kain kan rebel dana net program ka interval ka chen kain ka chemo jingan cikin chala la jan alik dara gan nodi ga nodi longan ministeran ejimur Raiwan Minister of Health and Human Services gar alwen pajadairang cedeo radmion percent in overall pajadan majalin ilale jo kujen ceng jo ba na uro chongon na jangar ka jano lage karangan review ga tarun chimion point radmion percent in overall pajadeo pelen kameno manna nge marong alikar wawan ko ceng ka chen lukun kata ber ko jen jibang raga giro ilan kelaj rumro ilang raga gi cejala Wanen ko redi ko mengai meche kacung putu ko erbaran tallo training program kan wajen len la wanen ko rakka kai palen ni pajara jana chairman cebali kar kacito ko aga baror cabro jemno bar kamlo legalo komol emngan member re nalange ebarorami kacito ngan range rari ke ni human ministry nan education chojim karereglak Pai unina roman tangani jinman awal ber kena jen lelok kajitu kuar awal ben kajitu kuar meraj tekanan kajitu kipen train wajib jemjar ko waduk ilan rai na wak chud orang wak yang cakap
Okay. Thank you for the questions, Senator Anatok. Before I get to yours, I just want to make sure that you got clarity on the question of how much was allocated for maintenance. So within our PSS budget, there's $1,184,443 that's in there for property and maintenance, as well as a few smaller amounts through some of the other activity codes. And then there's also the infrastructure maintenance fund. So to get to the question of the education leave, so you might be aware that the NITIJELA passed the Teacher Certification Act in 2007, and that act governs who's supposed to be a teacher in the Marshall Islands, and that is managed by the Teacher Licensing Board. And one of the requirements to receive full teacher certification is to have an associate's degree or higher, if you're under the U.S. system like CMI, or to have a diploma or higher if you're under the USP system. And right now we have about 200 teachers that don't meet that requirement. And so the way that we prioritized who's coming on education leave was to prioritize those teachers who do not have the diploma or the associate's degree. In the past, for the past many years, the focus has been more on bachelor's and master's, and those are also very important, but we have only so many dollars and so many teachers. So we needed to make a change in order to raise up those teachers who are not meeting the legal requirements. Also, we had conducted a research study last fall. It was finished around November, that looked at a correlation between teacher qualifications and student achievement. And we saw a significant correlation across both neighboring islands, Ebi and Majuro. And so that also sort of strengthened our resolve to put our focus on those teachers that do not have their associates or diploma right now. And so that's why we've invited about 50, I believe it's 56. We had started at 52 and a few extras kind of got in at the last minute. About 56 teachers that are invited this fall to come for education leave. And those are people that have their, they've been teaching, but they don't have their degree. And the funding for that, about 400 and some thousand, is for their salary. So they receive their full salary while they're attending USP or CMI, because we recognize that they still have family needs, plus they're going to have to live here in Majuro, which can be expensive. And most of them, not all, but most of them are coming from neighboring islands. And then the roughly 300,000 will help those that don't have Pell Grant anymore. Maybe they've used it all up, or they had prior experience at CMI where they maybe had poor grades, and so they're not eligible until they get their grades up. So that roughly 300,000 will be to pay for the tuition needs there, as well as at USP or other sort of fees that come up. Some of them we've had to look at some past debts from classes in the long ago past that we're trying to get clear so that these teachers can move forward with their classes. We're doing this so that our students can be learning more effectively. There is the reality that once they get their degree, they will have a higher salary, but the reason we're doing this is not for them to get an increase in salary necessarily, but because we know it's better for students. So that's why we're prioritizing those. But we know that in the future, those that are looking for their bachelor's and master's will be prioritized once we get through this big chunk of teachers that still need their associates. Your next question was around, the parents, how will we look at the breakfast program? The way that we came up with the amount was to look at our population, our student population from last school year, and the PSS Act of 2013 requires 185 days of school a year, so we took the number of people times 185 days in the school year times $2 for breakfast, and that calculation came up with the $3.1 million number. So we, quite frankly, are feeling a bit overwhelmed with how we're going to roll this out, but it will look very similar to the lunch program, especially in the beginning. We'll likely use a series of vendors in the urban areas, and then we'll work with a mixture of vendors and parents in the neighboring islands, depending on the island and what available vendors there are. For those schools that have in-house kitchens, we'll cook in-house, like middle school, Marshall Islands High School, Kwajalein High School, those kind of places. Yep, go ahead.
Chairman government kuwa particular melalagin kachidagan senatoring eudit ilar kamane program gen Jadi bar kajol air lulur jadi. Pergi rain macam colok elap jen kalau nair. Cibang air beren kemenek cerwalin kata kain. Wajan tabar kata barangan kajol air rain kain elang airu jauh lebih. Beren pek tepelama tigri kain air. Kena ngerajap innem ini jai gujilang cuan wai mana kaju jai gujilang lebih kalau mau gujilang kaki. Ngai cek ligut ke calai lagu jan kata baru ngan kajaram mana ajari rain cukup pergi nair. Jen kata ikut. Kaji tu kau ini perwaj. Iki jen mangai jalok aku tak. Jadi bar NITIJELA perkejuan merongan ledo leda kam kajeri caraman. Eko rorit pakai kamane mangai ini kejuan rujukul. Rai bar lor pakai netal mangai ko rene. Lor jage pakai ranta bara mangai ini kejuan rujukul. Jalok aku tak jen ijo konan cikin jalai lagu jan. Ngan lor jage pakai anta bara kata bara. Kena elang wawen ko jejloi. Arol tu kan mangan cupong ni. Jej kata mana? Elang ajuri ilo ar kata kan pernah tu pen principal rai. Rala kata rancangan mangan cupong. Emen awa in air pelen majano. Im cecep cala kata ke jaga marungan yang mana ni ada lenganir ilo air majano yang benir ilo air jam mangan cup. Jej kata mana? Kena celelak. Kena jam malu air kata. Kena jam malu air ada lengan awa in cukul. Yang wawen ko jet. Kumal.
Jamal ini ni juror dengan rakyat.
Mana beolela roja ke kamera lagu jadi kamolol minister kap commissioner ini kan wako ini juga yield ngan rakyat member rakyat tu jangan yang itu kumol.
Kumol senator chairman ani tu. Malah jangan cian kile minister aruj kilo finance ni marong kemana wajuan gaji tu. Ilo pajas noi under special APPRO ini kan jolga beri pensar under rajan kuajelen ilo special APPRO ewo rubugi thousand kan kuajelen school bus itu ke lagi yang jaya bujan apply dengan Japan grassroots funding kan agak tu minister TV tak cemerong.
Kumol chairman heading kan kaji tu gina orang. Ayat judge kar merongot agilo ia jawin echelak school bus Japan grassroots alle tu ngancul ko kaji tu. Emarong galang ia lo. Agi ia ini lang rar kaji tu. Agi eno de jangan galang yang uak igi grassroots funding an bus.
Emang kumol. Ya bukan minister ke nangan awal ben school bayi kan awal yang menteri kan jen grassroots program nan Japan nge emjan pejarak boleh ni lepas leng school pas aku kia cemlele emge cera na sepuluh ribu tahun nangan kuajalan school pas aga idal ini dia ngan minister tepo.
Kumol chair, yawangan kumaya, minister jagia jam tim nayam mol kanamiang narungan gar parainot. Orang kerja ki elgan rale menganarang kemana cara beli nyar orang kain ikijen pajidin an cikin cala lagi jono me yapan cun pajid oleh ban aur. Emuj nganot pen ngan kakuba bagilah melelawan chairman adding ikijen pajak tanah me ijo jangan dipen ministry in kutubu jawab ilogar rongol alemnya fiscal year 2025 hari ngan ministry in lemu jino million 50 ramyong rotawin 50 ramyong alem imlo fiscal year ini berodok kat mana ini bang ini jadi lakom wepen ini jawab canganin jino alem million cimion bugi radong rotawin im cilu ejala belakang ramion million cubu raldong ramion tahu jino buim radi de tala nganot for the record when alikar congan kamit meninan kien ngan ariun malak cala laku jeni lo aileng gain mecha kacito ke wangin ngan ipen PSS yikijen impact na medyo lo rainin ikijenan iya talak rujugul ngayon may enrollment has dropped berberyonan di regular population na arang ilo to do an out migration yang ilo alam lak minigin ngai tamak ever lewat cibangko nganari lab atan no tar ba wiggling room nganan ministry net company charpalko ini company yo cuan ni juga jen programin najiri ke alap tata program na meji pam breakfast program mana alapan dukun cuan menome nganan kamolol ko minister kap tim na nganan yang karlo yang mani dengan dukun pushi wen en cuan wawi no me egur mol meno tam paya ken lok ngajar repem cubu persen ke ya bayan lang rujuguro nigeriang rej ya dalam kigin pong arar jab kejuta rala ka jab kejuta inem rito kum cugulun jupong recap par mengin jupong kalmal lagu jani dengan ledok mengin jupong ani relak elap tatang ini juan atana healthy snack breakfast ke ini lelak ceriun ko me ajrin raiguji marani ladam cugul yang mana ne pekata gen ko boy kier jab kuli akia ni lagu tongan mengin rale na ya ko mangayane me kajang dukun etoan karpet permantak imut cheni dukun interested in dukun lale etan methodology na yo wa we ne kecigi gi we jala ga lo taralan ini bar joko kan me ni payan ne interesting wa ka jala e payan leng ka kanin ma jala ko me rabarong pugiyum dukun aurengan erre kala kana ajri rein imut cergain magdi ala ba kamolo lego magap tim na kan manin aka kachido ko ta yigichen maintenance ke yorge kalmal la jan imema yakar ke wor chata ka ko me kajangar kalmi jegi ngani gichen what ijel lagna retain army jim pokto army jangan kamani maintenance program ge dengan alap tatangan ngai ba chiginu kure nom ECC ijel lagun contracted out aga charbali pen local government yo ngan provide maintenance im lale what is the most cost effective way ngai pa menin kana gai chedian cost kaya chedian charka ramarong redundant ramarong atan fully capitalized lo barchuan wawin pat kalmal lagu jenuin ngai atan ministry ne marong lale kalmal lagu jenin ni jel lagunar pokok army kel boran company carry out di menegi icep chala boy ichain company kata pachonin kalmal lagu jan ngana yang pat look into ngan to kali ngan tan save cost chala ke e pa ang money kan reju jilo igichen tan maintenance fund ne re ibo di yin ka jang lamna chongan ne chung lale million juma ye la ka jang para approve di lale juma million so total of $10 million is now sitting reju jilo maintenance fund ne me it carry over mandak and the human compact na but pening joinin kalmal lagu jan ministry ne marong look into ngan lale mangne is if it is join why we know miss and it cost effective ngai ejumaya kemi mijalak Mr. Minister ka commissioner ijumaya ke awale bigir kagi emjer gi conform ngan minimum wage na megal 450 and ela effective kagi ne effective then October 1st awale brane 450 and ke kagi ne arang ne man komol boy kumejem majirjir mala brome ro jange engi ne ali karge chalok chuan kagi ne le lali ne men le mongol lu chuan awa lo air puk wana en ko wana air kacito ke boleh ne ali ta ngan tan CMI ke boleh ngan CMI ngan air chujum pajle do mukjir melele ibalukun kacito kini pajatan ne ba kana ke it is what it is amene ngai kana boleh emphasizing ne aurgen audit ne and CMI aurgen audit ne im and compliance begia kajang la karela audit de an rongo yabayan nana result in audit de kano dan jang entre la audit de an CMI an adverse adverse opinion. Adverse opinion e wayan kokure ta ka dugun all ben auto the an kien. You guys are an important component in auto the an kien. Mino ya urugin ba kajangan dulur jaga minigin pa ko jale iwata awin ngai calakatan wawin ko kajangan pergi ngan kajemoy wawin ni ngai ene CMI marong luzi dan accreditation land so therefore forfeited 10 Pell Grant ngai icablugun jala talugun pungtan ko kumayangan pergi ngan rainin aga elagdok report kajan obijan auditor general yang parainot auditing firm me auditor kajang icap letok chat kalmal lago yan ko me riletok ainem man ngan nga kienin kanake enot CMI ngayenai rolagom luzi accreditation inan Mililin and luzi eligibility on Pell Grant Mililin CMI and insolvent evan marung function emgie chalakar yang choice kien jay gujin kapikoti chongani ni me ene digijap nganan kala yang wan malagot ngai iceblukun chalai ena kajang juga lukun melelegan chongan heroin im labin an changan diri lok charbal gin emoi imelele elang auto to ko mer rajatan roju rumit yang oleh kieni ni war rumit aga ngan kia ebayan concerning kini kijen cek na CMI peri ebayan consequential dan result in audit nai emai aur ke kami yang prioritize aur ke komen capare resources ko koma yang ai guji ngan liwaji pen lebih jere auditin kami yang aja gujin prioritize above and beyond anything else. Otherwise, ke alam mungkin ke jangan ekonomi lagi kijen makat itu an kala jangan yang manikan riwa jangan kala jangan ini je calok tok jair. Namun ngai kalau menin kan ke joinin concern lawalat calok berngai ngai kalau nani ke ini jina kan ke menin ini ke concern an awalap yang cabinet tu je ber concern ke. Namun ngai ini pelin kanan rong aja ke capre atap tu jen kemayang jalan ke chairman ni pampa jen fokus itu kan nampakan aga anu tapa without the order de chala to jarang kan ro kan jabro budget ngan CMI ini ceje gujin anu dicap kanan pa ini aga the reality will be ceje gujin lale tabung dan go ceje gujin pergi okay chairman ngani pajara gujin impar karalo
Kamol minister ada report ane robar celet nampakane ceje lilangan ijagain kamarong kanunu kan ada jabro dian Langai war responding kaji tu kap concern kan ministry umawan malot.
Kumal perjuangan chairman kle kaji tu kan ministerin emrawak hemen na kaji tu kali dah belen college ni pekonani orang pacir kah kawat akrorona jual malot. Ikijen impact about migration makada minister umrainuan kami din iya kane lemo rongol lalem rongol ciljino enod lajar chongan chen kana rallak icap kaji degni nambane char perbere dion pajadane me rainin me lemol chuan ijel lagun te irrela lawan kan belen chen horari jan campact chen horari do me helang terir emar kalabal emar chen ojan World Bank grand ochet emi jochet emi garam manang labalo hak imalele kamole legan malele bag chen lale wa na lukun mala pangai mo lege lang chong anagin inne ngai kalmane ge nagar balla balla bajet hak chala le dok chong kane perberion chong ge jalle la ilo alben wa ne na ile mo chu angai lang room man kajide kane me ijep tanak je kono no ga ge raini ya ka kamole kare Ijallagun ilan rio jalo karmi jano tamba ayat je rela ko je watak helen room ngan kajabar ap ilabar alwar balale e balalo wa wino me je jelma ilan bar rio jalo karmi ilo mol nga ko na ilale iya kana me je ba ela rio jala e chabli kun lango ko da jan ga yar kaman penunen mo dalo e mol ge e chabal labalo army jilo an majal kana ge jam mag army joro nambao age je ngolo tawjen e mal ben nambana rar perben yon chongo ne me chongol chilu chuma tawjen roju ko bar jaban ijel lagun wa win kana me roj pakchir imi chabi do ba ngain kwala komba e chabai e chalo room pagkajo chibak charbali penron ngalale yana jamaron bigot ngailang ka elang chano jamaron ka jabaro ait chen ka jabaro ngai chewi ka jo lok charbalin jalalo yana no training kana elang chirik chen ka dagen so men ko charbali gen kan jongo kana raberi per igi chen mangai chipona komol ait chen ilgun charbale a elang kalmal lo jan pe chen ka charbal mangai ko kijer ngai chen per lo chugujugun per hoil ngai ban mangai chipona mga pinana kaina ni menagana me chamarong ijel lago na ko jilung la kocha e chalo buta jin chage mga chaba jin mga fruit ilawan mejero ka jo chala chada one na apo chada one na waran menagana ka jo jai jilung pukat kwa wina me ena tabar ne ba ajri ran pelle chigin chala la jan maron pagine ne go rakkar me amanair kada pelen chap rumut mama pavaro ranjapa ko jai rumujo jangan charbal ba chacha kamman mga inchupong apa chagin kalma igi chen maintenance jerguna man kachidane kanake enodamba chalagi to milloy valimia charib kajarbangan maintenance kia bardo valimia ajjelo charbal langalangai so chai wit buat kelen kamak de chen ne penjab chorren lok chigin chalal ko janane an rijugo rein ne em chat kada kan kajarbal Army Corps of Engineer contract ilo mol chunian kono char chino elma gode em jangar company pen egli jago merario jan outer island e jemo yu me char kono no ga ngai chamarong kamuri choni noawi pengar ramarong company maintenance gane ijel logonan reservoir chechore company e gorren company em chejelo chibangan nganir barren company pene jage jon chemeron ipendron ijo konair men kajabaru menjugul kan em charbal gina ru jipendron pachirgin kalmal jana amman kachirgin chemanonin berkono no ga ne pajaragin em lewat ngan CMI akait euruk penebanin e chalap kachide ke chen charbal ga nidi jala euruk penebanin nim kajo jawal belo euruk nuamin ya bajet kana ke chala la ujan em ilijum chakala jan kalajan euruk ngan kajo jala kumal dala
CMI, please proceed with your response.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, my greetings and also respect to the Chairman, Mr. Zackius, and the members of the committee. Thank you. First of all, let me clarify. I take my role as President very seriously, and the board is depending on my actions and my words to speak the truth and based on evidence, and that's what I will do today. First of all, a clarification for what ACCJC does in terms of sanctioning any institution with the levels of sanction. There are 3 levels of sanction in ACCJC. The first one is warning. Warning is usually followed by a letter of clarification by a vote of the commissioners, and it gives you enough time to fix whatever that might be. In our case, with our audits, it had to do with eligibility requirement number 5, which is that each institution must prove its viability in terms of finances. So that's number 5. The second level of warning or sanction is probation. So they'll give you some time, again, to fix the problem. It's a little more serious and could have more serious ramifications. And the last level is called show cause. When you get to show cause, then you have to prove why the institution stays open. So there are 3 levels: warning, probation, and show cause. Ours is warning. So the accreditation office, the accreditation said, we're going to place you on warning. We're going to give you 18 months to get to and through audit number 24, audit year 24, because we didn't meet eligibility requirement number 5. Now, when ACCJC puts anybody on sanction, they always give you time, and the reason being is because ACCJC never shuts institutions down immediately. And why? Because they're concerned where students would go. They believe in continuous quality improvement, and with that, they look for the institution to provide pathways An example is there is a prep school closing in California. They went on show cause, they're closing them down. It took them 3 years to get there, but they had to provide pathways for student completion. And so ACCJC is always wondering, if we close you, we put you on, we take away your granting abilities, then students won't be able to complete. So we're on warning. They said you have 18 months to fix the situation. The update is we just finished our 23 audit. We're waiting for the findings now. 22, excuse me. We're waiting for the audit findings now. We will move immediately, and we haven't moved immediately to start 23 audit with an agreement with EY. We've had conversations but not signed any documentation or contracts at this point to begin 24 audit when we finish the 23 audit. Right now, we're on a schedule to finish the 23 audit in October, then segue to the 24 audit and have that done by December. In January, we'll send evidence to ACCJC proving that we have completed our audit reports to get us off warning, and that will be 11 months before the requirement, which is, they said we had to be completed by November of 2026. And so we've moved very quickly to get that done, all in the spirit of better governance and better business. And so that's the situation with the audit presently. But then, again, ACCJC is very clear in their, and very calculated in how they put sanctions on institutions. So we won't lose our accreditation, we won't lose our rights with Pell, but we must finish our audits in order to meet all the requirements and interests of the RMI government and its people, of our grantors, both federally and any granting programs. So it is a priority for us to finish our audits ASAP. Kumo.
Kumo, Dr. Newman. The teacher required translation by education, Minister and Education in Perkia. Teach Kachim, Romaja Kajim Pele, Bajan Kaza Kajim Pele. June Wallop.
Kumol Cheram, I either go to Kamol Wakom, and what Minister and Education Matam, but I not Commissioner Neve. You log in bar grant name me 22 million name awarded and education and training on Benagana. You get bar grant name supplemental health and you bought Parchone grant me breakfast morning snack program name are eligible wage provide nutritious and then supplement and agri which is really the basic fundamental of primary health. And we join in Wawin Kajamaram Jarpale and bar make sure again bar available and bar ministry ne Jamaram Belen split the Managani Pendron will work it out, but join in bar Kalmal Lagujan. Ngane CMI ngai kamolo gan men wawin gainum our way milligan ren walok loblit kanagay imimalaji kanagay concern ni gay jabarro ta ganawlep kajidirigo in gay not only completing audits but also the results of the audit kanagay your result your wawin ko me auto ko requality karerigilak emla mujigia tagan me other than equalok ilo findings in menakay menugor lugum baraur gain kanagay jamarong completely jadada ang jadada ko me recep kapakaka ene jabar ligri ka jilo chat wawen ko me jamarong par chelet eligibility gain aram jamarong wan mala ko tan pello chet chig ko me jaba echaba manangan ole meni ganan bar karrila ka ju jale gain balbran melele kay there's one completing the audit, the other is also the result of the audit. What's the findings, and are we in compliance with our obligations and fiscal responsibilities? Mr. Chair.
Minister, Mulayan Chair Vice Speaker Isaac. alanga imarang kamanujun kamen emama chun kachid so minister ko commissioner no agar kalo ko elang chain and maintenance property and maintenance aitama agar wallang lo 25 kinda chain na je appropriating e chalo maintenance na do na kamani em kakal manjulo and ilo any wadak kiyolok agal number funding aja jab chui ngai kino no to ne da bo ilo gap ngai ga ruwelak angai tamaga ullam chulo lo daravan rajawi barkakal ego ale bachua ga kajidaga ngan CMI ko subject tabi alap NITIJELA kanu ga kiyo education nursing education negro pues jalo kajida ka hospital are administration MO agencies AI with null HY with kaini me egaran benna alag rujojan college program nazio ilo college ilangan associate degree agano daro chala eno daro chala aga yainga kuchap echa molvenin nurse are registered nurse aren't require a 4-year degree PA BA nadin college ni lelim lok program and nursing pues en la ruja lo nurse prejuro je kada nursing lo college ni ruja lo kan PA pero naron kachu in putadalin RN registered nurse.
They were all coming. We did nothing.
Jadi malot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You want to translate?
Mr. Chairman, President kachitang imarang translate with yapahan aur kachitang ngan charong public.
Bawa, hamiro lama.
Translate?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In 2021, recognizing the need for improvement, CMI requested an expert team from the University of Guam review the college's nursing program, including the curriculum.
Mr. Chairman, anadan President kalagan ngin kwalo ko ilogar 2021 yung anwa kachitang yudit jen obi jenam. CMI agar chino charbale wani pen University of Guam ngan kakam malok yim lang lo level chala jano ilo college war ki chen program ko malagam ene karabolo.
Since then, the following recommendations from that expert team have been implemented. Number one, the addition of courses in pathophysiology and maternal health, increased emphasis on professional ethics across the curriculum, including student nursing, wearing uniforms regularly as part of their professional formation.
Imelgin agar University of Guam kamane kadagi agar lero jad recommendation kin kajuan chat course ko me kalangalaw chat yan course ko chunian ro yan course ko pathophysiology imyo chuan maternal health im pranot karon malok ba kinjar wala kwan rojugulu lo college analikin ngi nursing program poran kana jad nunu ko men kwalo ko yer rajar manok im improve lo personality ka morale wire.
And included in that was regular meetings between nursing faculty and the MOS staff.
Junian karbar recommendation ko chenagar pore kadagin University of Guam gar company pen work chat regular koila koi gran nursing faculty war college war dialingin impore no terjar war hospital.
The current AS in nursing degree requires a minimum of 288 practical hours referred to as clinicals.
Ilo program ki ilo college ada dikin kitchen AS in nursing pe kon receive chuan degree ko uji digda da Prubu rally the practical hours. You just consider clinical hours.
And this takes place in the final year of the program and is in addition to the hands-on training in the simulation laboratory.
Programin agad clinical programin na jichina company lo jenis tayar kita tanjuan rujul nurse im recommend pareno de go balok application practical clinical course wire im jenis hands-on training.
In meeting with the most staff, have been expressed the need for more seasoned nurses because of the limited number of more senior nurses, making it difficult to provide adequate mentorship and supervision for fresh graduates.
And orang perjalanan kalian angin kualok ilokuan kalju pen stabaran MOETS and orang kualok mutan kerjaan jenengowin kualok oipegala regular professional nurse and orang regular merenda supervise kamantare fresh out of college major in merger CMI.
At the same time, the college is limited in how many years the degree program can last because of Pell requirements and an increased focus by regulatory agencies on the completion rates. The additional internship bridges programs the additional internship bridging program fills some of that gap.
And orang perana kuala ke jangan ada wanan rujul nazaro rujul lokal ya naingin ilang berjat konsep limitation of merana celo rujul na other funded by Pell Grant and other limited inam kajar Pell Grant ilam jubul. Ini gamman pe worjat limit of major rela will wire yang munanar walau dok idea in ikijen additional program ko boosting program me majiner jubul ramarang malanom perpek jarak internship program ko maner kamaner kambini.
We will continue to meet with the MOs to seek additional specific information about the skills and knowledge that our graduates need to succeed.
Ilo anot mengat marajanin jarwalin kalau jangan lagi nenek jawan malam continue jarwalipen Ministry of Health ngan kekaman malam lalai awijuan out betul elbada nganar kejo juga rojan program ini beron lalai alang out betul rojan.
Another challenge for newly graduated nurses joining MOs is the length of hiring process with PSC. Frequently, our nursing graduates, especially those with the highest level of achievement, seek and find other opportunities while waiting.
Jangan juga kalian lengkin, jawab lo ilan company survey kawan itu rujur mereka kerja nursing program kalian lengkin itu kalau kau cunian adang ko meron jala terjuruan daga karwe jala ko yo to nair katar nganer maron real mai chicken charwal ko yo ajbel ko not process at PSC yum te andara bilo bar chicken charwal ko jet ijela goner charwal kan mero mera kata ka gi gender jingilo kalgan island.
This fall, we hired a new nursing faculty member, Dr. Josie, who holds a PhD in hospital administration, an MBA in healthcare services, and a master's in nursing. Hiring more highly qualified faculty is a key step towards pursuing the college's long-term goal, which is a program accreditation for the ASN and the development of a bachelor's degree in nursing.
And orang kolok kan cerwalkan college ini menjadi pegawai menjadi ayat cuan PhD in hospital administration, MBA in health care services, master in nursing. Jadi kita akan recruit cerwalin ini kolok kan kami menjadi college yang lain dengan orang jalok cala lagu jen ilo programo ikiji nursing program CMI projen narong tagar kacir go meyude channel Mr. Chairman ikiji ASN in Bachelor in Nursing program.
Kumul Tata.
Kumul, well, that was a long answer. Anyway, kaji do ngad ena yalangat chala lagu jen ilo kala jen ngandro redbag program in nursing go barang lag karu yalok ewer registered nurse. Itulah kaji tu kecil with nurse pedalo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Right now, the process is we're working with the faculty to get an expert opinion from their area on whether we should seek accreditation first for a nursing program or to seek the bachelor's degree. But we are moving forward with either accreditation of our nursing program through an accreditation agency or begin to offer the steps forward for a bachelor's degree.
Kemudian Mr. Chairman, anodan korpala ke charbal lagi ni menyala pegcigin kan ke urut kalau melalui dengan kaman we newsing program an kalau jangan yang kini independently accredited or legally law even accreditation an siapa we elang proses ko charbal lagi kiam menyala anodan korpala faculty urut charbal lagi ni melalui yudi ni zaman dengan kalau jangan yang kini kumol.
Oke, man kumro mol be aligar ke kumro charbale chalo tafne deiri ya kumro lulu ya Pen lak rutu nujero agrojuguro jan CMI ilang air 4-year degree learners. Chagi na ikale Vice Speaker Isaac Segraya kan kajitu kuan.
Kumudara Chairman heading ke number kile gero ilo kilo ke raur kilo ralegon rainin. Jowe gnan ko bala udilo Nanuam Chairman, Nanin Clego and Rota Lawir, Euro Aragap, Kajanglo Kamidin, Rijarbarin and Finance, Ova NITIJELA, and Malabdarangan Penelin, Minister General Zagizum, Olive Commissionerin, President and CMI, Olive. Rain me human ministry in our ini periodion pajatagay arjang me beriman mejen kajitagay juan imantara ini jadalangan NTC National Training Council arang no darang melalagay pajatin emjan idok kiyo iman mejen kami din ngajlari ji rali dongol cimatau jentalaw borainot worker meje iyo yolok apa jada amyang iguba 600 chilu taujin cimatala init fogo jodan ilo ngan areng enochon resolution me emjan NITIJELA page ngan kareba bagalok training ngan lelo galinglok kabilangan rome labda dangan citizen road kiyo company ko ralla pralagadan air even air gan ge chalok skill ge ni per em chang par melele ge bojen idok paluni ko wareng kajang ni barai wi pilot ngan nei paluni gen regal ngajlale pajude no de cheblugun alat ere long ge training ge me 4 kala jiragi e mar par walling ta lo floor an NITIJELA kajitu again kajuan kajitu again karo ene periodion rujarwarana reno rugawirana yang lo autralan kamolol ministerin ka awalegan rota logir gan pegojen gi chudak stalling lo autralan ijaje nge on lagot katabarin when chudak olive starling tamagan ilgun cibang rugagiro arangan kaman kilajilo online enot rome raganan paglingalok enot level wire ilo college ilo anabangar idongan ijagain ikononogan rugagiro arang lo outeralan melbar kamolo lo ben ilgun cibang ngajlale pajatagay areng chuan pajato me almanlat yan wallingalok cheniyogo remodalok melange yor kain program radin ngan ene ragagiro areng lo outeralan morongin ngai melelege or cetrome yarji bange rilo ailinge ralagadan applying an even areng air kan ge jiwa jalaga air pipa ilo air gar ilo ngai karu yalo jen kala jo areng melbat brumo ngan wa ini na mene manin itama ge ne lugun cibang army ro areng lo alange ne pagjigen ngai bar leluragan maintenance ngan cigul wareng ego bar restroom all ever work pijago raberiba palen ngani providing and rental lawyer even all even enodami ang melalage or radum yon elementary lo ailing oglap eme balang choren gome palen ngani ke bagay rental lawyer kalog pijagin pe ngayakar enodang lawalaw pajadagin yan lukun kailing alawajan tamagani relong all about Ireland ngan company yo juan ni ganan bar kejaraman ministry ngan breakfast ne ngan najiri rain mitamak ewan ne jibang parent rome ngan air loro jage kijanajiri rain Chuno da kachiduk yalange gange evojan chudak starling amaronge common extension ngan computer classroom ilo all even out the island I kono gan out the island arwar kalamang logjanin jen mero amjang nganan chudak ilo waja bichuan kalamang logjanu me amman the example in Fogilo Starling when a service lo outer island. Kia mian walling the Starling commuja outer island commuja kajarawale. Meligada in scholarship warang. Kia mian towel em walling lock pajanamiang. Tamagani were Drialong Oliven Chongorali the Tau me Yadalangan Chuan. Rujugul ilo iligan Rujugul yang ilo college meor ayri rar chugul ilo majlin malag relocate parent royer rar dalam mon malam continue ilo high school wo iligan majlin agar kelas ciro longan rali dek imdro jalok emalugun Arjun yar kajidak leling da kajidak ini lo flora ne de jala mar dok chuan wago me bagar prumit kanege kiye melale ka jang fogo jo dengan ajuri ro rio jalo lo majalin ilan gari dok melale oge prome rabari ligun imrar tolok iligun majalin Awak cicap cenibal mana kagak ngan perconian. Kami kenal berkumayangan fogo ilo. Kenapa ajuri ini ilo air rio jalau jen high school. Em terus rei congjuan em congoro. River pugu air kereta dulu university gay. Congoro balang air pipa. Em itu kerja cepar. Dan ko baigi credit gay nairang pen bar realong ilo grade 4 in average yo me kajang I would imelalaga I would chilu point paran marong pagawadin ng scholarship yaw palen kajito ko gay nilo round juan ilo kaude kumol
las vice speaker Ilunggu wakajing jana Mr. Minister tim na ami ang ini.
Kumula Chairman and Minister kan ini na kacungan pokona lo kacita kay ni printer lawyer ni bar unmalo dum pokona may tarang ay chumaya kamalili ak Ngichen program na National Training Council kamol lait emol ga chay wi lekun bar chino libjor jere bayan langalok runner skills langair peba man kabel ho me chay wi baron pelo chigun charbal em karigala podor gele agali kar rainin ge chon training me char tarare me char kwal gala NITIJELA me rubu chi mar mit iligi jabot em chay wi kam ka jala kan ge chon charbal kan rai pek chigir ge jay wi idurong lok pugui ko ralak me jab kabadaran taujin riligin barandan chinoi kanan lang chana iro to ka man ka chitagin emilo pajadana kone jilo lori pajangai kwala kan technical vocational education training kan kabelarin me kono no gagi e bayang lat em jonin wawin me chamarongin charbal ipen hobi jigen alap talagir o ba National Training Council kan kakajulak Ikichen maintenance ka jangar kono no elkun aur ememol menna ne bay wancang chugulo harro ilo ailengo elang katabargin ngan kagale emengana ilo pajadane emejirelo jodoga matan men ko jeri ay wi barchibang haru chimor pero meron kono ipi ba ko re kamelimi lis go bajen merongin kamag diget chegin chegin ar mejerin matar echebi jana pari jogo chat pajadian rum jogo bin akai chegujin kamane wawin gin enodan gar minister kwal and finance ge chegu pikot pungudan go be enjab kam jangot ain ko jo jale kachomen kagari magin jogo chamarmi emnge chegu podo gar mejero chat chen ligin ego chen kamane ange chemeron kamane janar mejero ari lawa chenchino gagir Ikichen Starling aman pelenjonin jarbal jana jai ujin jarbale ngan kajidune me kaman computer lab akichen kenwe pogo jana chena ngan kadangan ruju jana ilale wa narbar kajengun kare beka bekalo kakaju lok ai uchi bagane me jidok ngan ai uchi gana jedam pelenjane pogo kajidune aman jarbali pen obi jogo talagir college National Training Council imi jogo chet ngan lore jaga ikichen kajidune ngan scholarship ewe Ijalaga orang le juga karena ijba ajriren nejirim right per giligan ijalagun grade point average na kono no ka belen nejonin unin kono no ijalaga rejar balin chen scholarship average akjonin matan ejpello board commissioner in emer barua ak ai ajriro nejir rejal jual ngan scholarship me karda right per ligan jodo ke elam kachido ko me rai gujen kalikar eno ajriren nejir Raj kamane jat pe ba ko kwala ko ngem jair chugur rani barche bela do eno dar ke bela jiri rani nijir ber ranche bela do ya kajido re ya ur gem chen kamane a chone melalen kolguna mo minister garam gar kwala melale yugi chen supplemental chen me jada na hospital em kajangar kamane im ligu dilo pajet akana erwa jai wit moda career lo kawale bena yugi ga na hospital ilane da le IPN jagar ba ko pejenjab katat Ako leo JCG moda piniji emnge ejab tabarak agelang ijar me epal lak aurin chenen nganar kajar balangan menginjupong ait ijo jeni ugo dayanam kajar bale aja jeri wajangan rejar barin mataro em ajar balangan ipen hospital bangne ya tabarak ijo kajangan ipo kajangan apa kumoy lagan alipen kacita kini ngailang baruwa chen renchat igi chen aja kacita kinot ya ko jojumun malo Directoran NTC yak Roger Balipet scholarship chairman kumal
kumal minister clear alep modara kamole kajito gar dogen vice speaker in ngana pelen lukuntu garun ngai ngani pagai iloan ye mandak olemen Armiro kajanya trainer ke remaja. Meban lang program o inoda ministry para belawar. Meban lang menjalan ansur tubuh. Meban lang rar kailangan jalan berat belaw level ko ulang. Jalan jino jalan jenis tubuh kayak jenengan. Minti kile ke ayat mor jenis jago jala balap. Train. Matan junian mana boy isu iluar. Training bejar jino jana school abo ngemjer karo jalak cakamane training ngin waran jino rojo dar jino relang feeling vocational met elang rajana ngon malakot Aligun training gain ailang rai bar alangan alan bar chu ipen either CMI ngai WSP. Majarai me rai pello bokajino trade gain yim langai su duwe either all be rai emjere lula charwal lawan majaling. Pareno dion kojalen jojo ni alwal tagade kichen bokajino skill gane. Ngan chunian parisu gua menjadi loy ikijen menin cek kapal ka betul ni gain aga ngan kali ni for example ejin ngan langan cabarot ele ibu jar boleh me komoram ka jure langai basic skill aga idan alvin respond ngar jeli dongan kami bae palak idongan ubi je kejan jar boleh kejan karya langai koy no channel mena apa red kagilir Sejak benar saya langar boleh kami labor. Alu belum boleh, alu kan company ini ujian majoroi je cara boleh biar peran di bawah. Yanar kacang menemukan feel kayak begini, macam uji. Kalau tak ada labor boleh cijalai calakan skill min labor, agak je cij marong trainer ciri mana project kan kaju relangi cara boleh begini. So paling yabar palover yerin bola ke evaluable vision ngajar boleh kapukan jarwal mejal ngai skill oil ngai skill jadi marong kau nak kau pinjar boleh kau mereka palak lawan majeling tempat kuat angin jangan ibadah jin berwa kemau darah
ewa ke kaji tu Majorot am kajiduk vice speaker one
Amane jalok kajit par kajiduk lo round in kain kajuna do bain kamolol alben wa ko jen ministry ngap traktorin apa jele ojo chuan kalaman lo jenengan ministry ngai no daru melele ga ailing lo be chuan yan subsandar lo majelin marong bar relang lo secretary Aji gula kana kumol.
Cici, lewa yang mana kaya, bawa cici tu ngan na irang jilu, kalau berang ro, em cici nak beli rang ro mak ngan USB we jangan war kaji tu kalau ngan USB. USB, I see in your submission that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 positions that their proposed salary has decreased. Is that a demotion thing or because PSC policy you cannot reduce anybody's salary from their current salary? So I'm talking about teacher English, accounting and economic. I trust this is also teacher, math and computer, and geography teacher. Ngan melala, cipok melala.
Thank you, Chair. In regards to salary allocation for staff who are employed under the RMI USP Joint Education Program, the difference is based on the number of years of service. We are working with PSC right now in regards to staff review for the salaries of staff based on the recent amendments to the RMI minimum wage October 2024 and also movement of staff salary in regards to PSS. And right now, the salary for RMI USP Joint Education staff is still based on the program inception way back in 1996, and it has been basically moving according to the number of years of service and increments based on staff review for each term served. I hope that answers your question, sir.
Well, you mentioned the minimum wages, and I believe minimum wages as and continue to go up. And I see there in your proposed salary for these 4 posts, their salaries is going down.
I'm sorry, so I don't know which page are we looking at.
I can share my copy if you want.
Which one is going down?
Why the salaries are...
Where is this one going down? This one.
Who's that?
Salty.
Sir, I can assure you nobody
Yes,
wants
sir,
to get decrease in salaries. Nobody. And if you decrease their salary, you're going to lose them.
Thank you, sir. I believe that there is a typo error on that one. Thank you. My sincere apologies to the committee.
Como el round row, Senator Kalankabuga here.
Como Chairman, kacito ini man tata ni jangan CLLC kue macam pokonami. Iloge macam increase jak lapalak pajado ngan division one bilingual education. Ngai kumaron chuyum kono cirekan wawenar kar wajalak kada kor aura gichen kakajolagam kalabalak kajin majal ilo chugul kuar ibalagan majalin ngan kami jinaro ar chonian mande dokuan ubijin alman udait jangan koda faigi kien manat ceberdo ya ikichen meninam menyan pajat online activity dengan ar kamane consultation ko ipeni roja roar alabro ruto roido manat kap kieneo ngan NTC achola but ngai rebadongan USP pe biruru USP ngai emalong dok chuan update can we get an update on the application or process of applying to the Pell Grants so that you can administer this. This has been in the talks for quite some time. Yato ar kono nogan USP relangai marungun administer Pell Grants TMA kejarabale rujuguro neji re kejarabale scholarship in ngan marungun chukulum etala kachida ke ene safe ten ene jalaban safe ten ngan NTC ika molele ubiji ngan charabalo ami rolap agi ijuata ke jangan dukun cecet wawanar kamane training ko we tijelo ten ngebat employer elabada kin karuilo majalin kerosenen Yusaka okay chorian company go mago de melat rachibaro do gurugian rom page ilo air kacheung kape guru jarabal awalben resume go receive ete marungun midi requirement ko ngan puji no chubugi timyo no lemen loss revenue menagin ijelagin V2 exact cholaga pur company o ilo kwajalen temano balale company kam dana construction company o an majalin e bana balang rejarbalin dukun ro pugi charbalagin ngai temaron choyum taragate training kain pain fit for purpose ngan tibang transfer remaja ro ngan air puk puji jinagain chunian menogo me ini jabar kacita we common fogudion population in chori rom reche perilo chicken chugulo pe elida da inar kaman punben ba jibayo yan ajar chori ro aya ajar ro lalam taujunu wire timatanin pabulojanin karchugul perilo chicken chugul go ak timatan rejap eventually armajarin reni rutolakam echalgai scale echalgai then marketable quality ngan scholarship minister Junio elmagot kwarpo gelingadak emalabagar sepote merre kaini poto galap cara manem merong cibang kienin cip jen conscription in recipient ro peron rol tokum erom rugagi yegana iman mere rol tok ila lale joinin wawe nganan langalakar rugagi em pen percibang kieneo kitchen funding imangan PSS eboyal containing unfunded mandate again by total 9.17 million it's sustainable eno da makar kanono kake MTDM program again elabay rawrak ngan ke enagar dokchuan plan nganan phase menin it rajange PSSกับ minister in rain izin pwedeng chojum lale webinar ne kota ke program again pe rongoro million nai ini talin magulag yin dal ini talin mat lalim million pwena ilo account nai ejime ke ete pwengan kapare edan ligi jabakin mejit kota ke ak fundai lo yin I win what sustainable solution pathway malak kacituin cuanyo proposal atau ujian PSS ngan kata cuan request ngan kajar bale IPA special needs funding yo eno tami gar imini in kajar bale FY24 kapligla akan jado ko policy changes ko an kata ego ba jadi resources ga me jar marungun podo human compact chilu podo artom cara pen minister pare le do assurance oge ini cover program ko imcer pe jogo claim kau deje tapi commissioner injen ko jale ni menjaga absorb all ben activity ko rara mau dengan 2.5 million ino amigar request je ni esen menjaga absorb bilo pajadewan PSS rainin kia joinin bar elmagot ijiloge PSS marong entertaining jonian menogo me char kachong katare chetie me odalak iloar kalau laki yang mengaku minister komolgen cuan lo yang mana ngan perkara lang dok mengain cupung ilo mengaku cijil langan ajar irun najir ilo ar kalau lak mengai cuy melelege mengaku kejar reni rekar nganen punit harmijin majal cuanin kalian kalau lak economic opportunity ngan local farmer ro local vendor ro jenje buya abal jenje buya waran ajen buya pop yang mengaku jet me jala gay rakar ramanim organic kero dan pelera pa ini kaman pijini ilo neighboring island payar mejero nuguri matar island ko ligun rente bay gujin magadala bay right source of income jon me kilen kalagiri ju percuan wawin an kien chip chen kaya ba roll gelangan 9.17 unfunded mandate na cuano carawal kemat percuno ay cuyo mo talak nganan PSS polen parenod USP apply ngan US bin ak bank identification number ba kumun marungan apply ngan grant ko ready available ilo Amerika eban lang education grant joinin wawe ngan kabir girigalak jadi ane rogain ngan kupal lo aja na idengkain kacita ko eri tata ido ilo etta bochen chojum kamane chon plan ngan ak chona katak ngan kalabala konain ragagi roar tika molo lere chep chon charbale o ebroro anga ko compare wonain ragagi ro ngan wonain rejar baro chat ilokien akin level gani e bayang labi ko takanai ijerong ko ewer chon personnel at audit PSS kamane ak kami jeneo ana ilang kay natan public service kami jeneo ya wijan bar kaman nationwide personnel audit pweden marungan kairi olben nampagain errogain kaman kachimay himokotak chairman kachito ko again como tatagin yan dito
Kumol chairman kaudit senator inudit senator kwajile senator kabua mina chino jan lik lamwat ngayaman chargain ranai power ettalo me imaron ligjoni kachita ka melig dada igin teacher salaries imona nain karong kamidin emiyok senator gap tarmina ilang kainde ilang chuan magdilangan PSS ngan right salary emot Rome elang aire pag chongol chilu langan chongol lale ro ilang lak pag rongol chilu lang lak ro elang master elang lak chir kamolel bay ada dine wale chibangit kalikar ayuji ak chit kilege chaygut kanero inan ragagi aurugin charbalin ayuji chimoy onair ngan air kamane kadako agilan chimoy ega kejo yagu bar pokonari pen chechumor lori jawi joko konari pen ron gar pada itama karunin katabaran kaginin ara jage charbalinan PSS yigichen wawin kana unfunded mandate liability kana yu ai don amman kalaman lo jana kana PSS USP kacheman pigot penin palani jangan karwat lekun nalagan wa jonin kalaman lo jana man meni maram pain echappo jara charbali pen rane merramara le dok chibam enot coach de me yarbar kwalo la NITIJELA yer teberak ila je perot tem katar cheno rido jan kien agilan chikin jala lo jan amra hore je ke jil pen pigodi chen ge elba rai pem gen manga ne ge jen ke jarbal manga go kijer magi ilo najir gajiri re nijir ai de no damba roine ai de no damba rejibang arme joro par pigochet wa win moro nganir jugun pero elang charbal ko re koraer gi pen PSS chicken ejimur cup national natural obijan NRC ilo arku baigum kadagen charbal ko man anajri re nijir ka project kadak charbalinek mene ilo chalal ko jan ilo air kamane ekadagin chawi pigot kile no ranjappa jakadot arren korto ko jan ekadagan ay per jakat arjap kijare changni to kile no ilo gar education te awi go chamlala chalil chino an emmagat wa wini ilo air kachiman kajalwal kain re kain raj pugi em ka kalbani akadagi chino kamani yako gagi barra lo aur ene jai wit ko bai pen curriculum yigi chen wa win gan kada chen gan me jala ilo pa jane gem jane la ira gale ben chen gan ni bai special need yarani lan pa jane chen ka che ma jo an PSS rejido yen compact in general fund nan lo ya ga wa ni elang chet wa win ko armijin ko jelen je kamolo ler tar kwala ke rek company milo an gar minister itemak an kada gar company eno chibang kal chikin jala la jono em wa men go jetum je kamolo kan wa wini ni lan lang chen go ipen kada gi ai pen armijin ko jelen kamolo li rojoro kada ga armijin ko jelen ni ler kameli mar ke jerwal chen gin man lo ya ga yu gi nar chimo ayat jangan majonolok rigolo kal manglo jan conscription paling wawinin jajai ujan lurur jare ilo air kakajolok wawinin iki chen NTC ano da barani warto konair paling edere bajan kamane juan bar audit man imijala ngai juma kemi mijala NTC lurur jare wawinin bajan kamane juan wawinin me chana ilukun kajit certification ni pe bagen jelilok ngan army jerain me rai pakadagan iki chen ro rai udela jen chugur chapchala ngai kaman ko jale tama kai kaman eno dan kaman outer island ajit kaman ilan mejoro ipen wam e melang ne pello ko ore ke en karu akajilu char kaman ngan elang ajiri imiar pello chon kario jalo ka jaga beri lo ilo wi ko ngan ajiri ro ne jiri me raja per ilo chikin chala la jen ko chat elang re chul ilo program in Royal Man High School a college APPRO training ko chat ilo NTC CLLC na juga kagi jen codification ni jala ke recer bale tum rai vicer bale bo in area akaden kajin majal joinen program an PSS man kamane jet bokko me rejugo ilo kajin majal man kaden ajiri rein nejeri lo chugo lo kajin majal jala ke cerbali ne kamanot igar kachidagi perjang werang ni pendron kariri lo kana chenin chibang ene jidongan wawinin chamlok kedian ilo yin la mi jala ke rang kuela lulur jage CLLC USP MPSS IQPE program ngan lulur jage wawinin Pell grant satoki na juga ka imarong pagchir kona eno chuno chi yadilo dan kian marmin majal lo council and USP ilo mol mataneja ko an kienin ngan kangal dok Pell chap ngan kejuat ilo an warin pilgay na FAS ang Micronesia ngan jugulen ngan an marong par kajarbat chen ngin rojo jan Amerika Cerbalin arwan malaw dan company kan USP lo jontor yar chago ipen ka CMI ngan lale ewi wawen and marong air card gnir baran marong an real ang wawen golo man company Pell grant erronet pelen kamalele jini jala gar dalam pujara kilo jontor elitade nagar pello koilako arroilo cerbal go chat yor konono ipen USP pe kamjangan lujar jere an kamano ini mijala garar kanan pen accreditation process ko man lala wawin imkina na Amerika man kamaga joy kachito ga lukuna urok anwan USP emachit kamalo ke USP ar eno de lalgar bar chungul chuan ar echolo go da jan lalgan chungul chuan kumol cholo bar chairman ang ngelang kachito ka men ko kuwa ba jan chakana chojuman malaw
ano de lugon latam huako como tada minister kachito ini aligada ngan yorok finance yugichen NTC ano dan kabila dilo kagino an NTC funding ko ngan training ito ko jen non-resident fee non-resident workers fee traktor kunit kayo may yung ibut kurila rili kalak ngan pajato ko kagianin ka jeme ko malak rainin elaka rebere bilo lima buku cijino ngol taujin finance ko man ko chojum clarify gi nampain na tagay rebere po dilo nam jonganin 560 etep por year etalak variation wo ko dagilo an idok agdriwa jalak iya talaga langalak kerja balin ligna kay ejega idok ligyoin chen na ngan NTC ngan air kamane training kay na ngan armijan majal mol
Kamal Senator, then you chain non-resident worker fund naive low FY26 proposal naive LL 700,000. Kamal.
Sejak itu kita ada amount nih, pengekulale fiscal year walak 560, okay? So yung lalawin schedule 9 special revenue fund agar.
In Minister, Senator Ngimarang, Chair, ngayon ilalo budget na ilo, yung budget na education, MOEST, ilang chuan namba, chapkan ilap, rai dongol chiljino, chijilim jong taujin, inamalamu chijino pui chilu na me, ejido yung schedule na rajal layar kaya. Come on. Yoman ilo pay chongol jilu, Yoman Minister and Education, Sports and Training, ilang chuan jan ijadalang National Training Council, rally the mol chilim jon taujin, yung mol chilu tala. Ijalo kun namba na me ko jilo ilo schedule na ilagame chiljino pui chilu tala.
Schedule na call up 500
ilale ilale budget pile me Appropriation Financial Year Act roto yung rongol jino roto yung rongol alat. Ingat.
Pelin kajidan Senator itu kayak cepal-cepal kayak jelang log trigger walin ligur jidok mejelang log trigger walin perlik rival Jojo alakar wajib perlu 540,000. Wajib jenis langat fine ni mak.
Ini waktu trali tu bui cincin orang mana ilo schedule na akan ikut mulai.
Ngi marong bar pacirik chair im pelin kaci mai cirik ya dan ingai jemai am pas Senator lo dan Chige jong mai 560 megar lang kanono elegant ipen garan tisi imti me arjan paja thage chenagar charbali pair boy lomon ge ngaradan based on actual collection so enginje charbale odi pen tisi empalen engineering in ge cheni bar chije dum kanani pair ga ge menin
choyem charbale kagairu do ka boy iyo reini kemana kodak kilo kemedi, enalagadal ngan NITIJELA kena jauh jalur nambangan emir jualan schedule kan.
Kemual tata chairman menena ikan anak pagaling dak pengai alibin yogo manta ka ejera bere bilo liba buku cijinong ngol taujin ti elo yala katan nam poego are me olako mol
Jangan fine kejar balik. Senator and Chairman will be writing. Round row.
Mr. Chairman, mungkin nampak klik jero training macam ni langal kajiro round row Koi chairman nagardang iri mejama ya ba mwali lam ko manam kajidu mejam bugi wala ban kajidu ko yardan kamani ayanan follow abo dengan kajidu am CMI kajidu nursing program dan wala ke melalo ko president e ba ke UOG Arkamane jalan recommendation lo 2021. Kia kajang bello 2025. Ewan ni bertun ay doon lock pajen meron tabar recommendation against UOG. Kain karo kajidag Mr. Chairman, ayangan bar brother na rolo NTC, ikijen TVET World Bank program. Meron ilo tu ciri kapte dengan kami dia ikijen nyain ceperi, langin ikijenu emang cina kan aja World Bank. Another area melalui percuma year remodolokar percuma program ini. Jadi baju tu belum ada jalan tahan rar. Menjadi cina on Malawi World Bank TVET project. Kajian kajian, jangan PSS. Ikijen registration fee me rujuro rekalai lo cul. Yakin maningin rek kolegi retelangan ya ke recer balangan ta. Majoro rek kolek registration fee ke para other island gue cicem melalui. Cuma bagus melalui. Registration fee ne kap tretan kap unik kolegi kap elemen tak cer balangan. Emenyan saya terkedalam kajian kan Pell Grant yang USB evan berai tu kian cara percuma kajian cara balin kamu lalu berat kamu ni cara balin aga John kajian jalan John projek kau ni ipan cibang rujur ni jilo USB Aligarnya itu apa? Memang ada kajian yang chairman ini bagi orang kajian itu perkara lo Mr. Chairman.
Kumol, apa itu gua lo lajar lagi ya? Egal modal CMI. Enam juga dengan NTC, kalau dengan Ministry of Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to Senator Heine, to answer your question, we did fulfill all the requirements except one, and that was to create a cohort that we would not have been able to manage under the restrictions we have in terms of Pell Grant and the time that students spend in our associate program. But all the other conditions, which were to create a course in pathophysiology and maternal health, we did that. We increased the emphasis on professional ethics across the curriculum, which included students wearing a uniform. We completed that. And then we've also, on a regular basis, met with our partners in MOS, including the Secretary of Health and her staff. And we look forward, again, working with them to fill in the gap, whatever the government or the health requirement is in terms of students getting better at their craft. And so we look forward to those continuing conversations. Kumula.
Thank you, Mr. President. You can understand the importance of that program to our country. At the moment, Major Hospital lacks 30 nurses and EY Hospital lacks 20 nurses. That is a critical number for our patient care. So please, I urge you to expedite whatever it's holding the thing up. Comuntada.
And thank you, Senator, and we will absolutely do that and work with our most partner to create a partnership to be successful to fill those gaps, both here and in Kwajalein. We do take seriously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
NTC, well,
Chairman, kaya kajian ko ulitin Senator na Alvin Billy. Balin siya may malalaman include kay ilo programan nursing na kami partner kami ngayon yung kami funded nursing remore karuya lawaran bello pre-programan nganer barang eligible ngan cara bello enochuan nurse. Core ro yang nage ibojen chinoy. Chuan yang ibojen completely lo emarang alingin lo. Angan kajian ko ikijen tayo. चलो भाई कर oh World Bank komol itu orang kalau lagi jana ya emang World Bank ESP project kan natan jamal kan iyain Melawan iya ko alam ko buatin project ya 2 million himar role implementing agency land ministry join Appropriation education PSS join implement component room chilu agar war emal lang meno ja company ke training Char tuano me minister kanan ngari benwam nganar podo kaini me calangan PY na school. Peran relang ay training gain peran walang awakot. Ilang pensi amai projen na kal training facility ko. Ngan kajuk jibang kauman malagan tiba program yan CMI. The USP jaga kamane iba lalim ko joko. Medjal gunai uji pelang lawan major majalin kainan accounting business administration juga beberapa counseling IT yung induction workshop me car balibin PSC nganar menebar jabar relang itu chicken jar Modalnya ni raya rupiah PSC ragu pag induction program ini. Yung induction ini kadang ni bulan pak lukun yorum joan raja rapal. Modalnya nam Cinoy. Ya paro menjar dia kemana joan ID center charge bang funded bin USP. Yung menjan diri awak yang lawan Cambodia. Yung si marong kajar balengan pagpilayan IT war. Yung kemana training ko me USP ini barang offer hijau IT. Ilargar lolak santerin, kalau dokumen ane oke lawan pesibigin, juga ping kajuan me awan modern, jangan alih lawan. Jadi perenut warkaman car cibang pandai lawan projectin, cuan salke center, yang ini bello USP. Imelai ini langan CMI, ini otak bulan tahun orang kamar cibang berjalo mata naik juga kain. Elang ada tokom kuko juga ada lo menjual kaya jab ini ada jalan ke jabal lo kalau jalan apa. So elang ini dia rom matan kijang abang ko kan ke kajeri. Jalo ayu ini menjadi cibang elak pandai human proposal atau kemudian USP dengan keren training keren golo ESP project kan. Ibarat catakan ibarat lang ang ano daw ba projen ni jamal golo yoi nak elap tabara ke arwalok ilo kadamene ikiceng komponen wani TC mo dada.
Oke, komoromul Director Julius, uninagar boleh nak kaji lagi kan kaya. Ano da melele lalinare gun barai wit kamata mechanic plumber takane uji kitchen construction emoi cha milgun cilgun la barai uji yang ne ilgun lang to rilgun ra jere lang to ilang army jara marong gar trelo menangane I galeri we CMI one malawadam company vocational training ke ejumage president is okay vice president is eman
Fokus sama program saksi aman.
Betul.
Thank you, Senator. To answer your question, we are moving forward, especially in Iraq, to provide classrooms and labs. We're in the middle of construction right now for labs for automotive, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing. And once those facilities are finished, which is December, then we'll offer classes there to support that interest. And once we do secure that, the interest now is to offer those programs and degrees and certificates to the folks in the Kwajalein area, in the Ibai area, Gujigu, to come and finish their degree or certificate there until we address the need or the build a building at the Kwajalein campus. Come on.
Ministry of Education, Sport, Harvard Juanan, Senator Kachidangan, Mancombro Jana, Mayor Chojum Malot.
Como Chair, and como Senator Heine for the question about registration fees. So just for clarity, at the elementary primary level, we do not allow schools to collect registration fees. They're only collected at the secondary level, and we've talked about whether to phase this out, but at the current time, we continue to collect because these are also what's largely funding the PTA programs, the parent-teacher associations at the high school level, as well as some of the urgent needs that come up, particularly at the 3 boarding high schools, because students are living in the dorms. And so if there's a urgent need that comes up after hours and they need to pay for something for the child, they're able to have a little bit of flexibility with how fast they can access those funds. But that's the primary use, and the registration fees are the equivalent of roughly $2 a month at the schools, because we have about 10 months of school, 9 months of school, and they're around $20 to $25. So $2 or $3 a month at the high school level. But again, just to clarify, and hopefully anyone else who's listening to this, at the elementary schools, no one should be collecting registration fees, and if they are, I hope that will be reported to PSS so we can clarify the expectation with the head teachers or principals. I also just wanted to respond to a question that came up earlier about the restrooms at the schools, and we are currently we've just launched a program in partnership with the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and UNICEF, and that program is going to help us to either renovate or install restroom facilities in 15 of the schools. We have 86 facilities, so it won't be in all of the schools, but we looked at the ones that have the highest need, either based on the fact that they have no restroom at all right now, or that they have large numbers of students and the restrooms that they have are very, very minimal. So that is a program that's already just launched in July and will continue for the next couple of years. And then I just wanted to also comment on the sustainability issue with the unfunded mandates, and just a comment that PSS agrees, it is not sustainable at this rate. We cannot keep taking on more mandates that cost money and not receive an increased budget ceiling, because it's just becoming too much. It's becoming too much to cover, not just in terms of money, but our staff is incredibly stretched thin. So as we're trying to reduce the size of staff for budgetary reasons, we're getting additional responsibilities, and I think a lot of folks are feeling quite overwhelmed, and we need to focus on the mission of PSS and really hone in on that and spend our time and efforts in that area. So I thank the Senator for her question related to the sustainability, not just around finances, but the people side of it as well. Como
PSS nganda chiguro dama me jalok an bathroom riguro re muria ligum yara ya kumang ko prioritize when war bathroom lo ale chigulo.
Yeah, thank you for that. So there are a few of the schools in the neighboring islands that do not have any restroom at all, and in 2 of those cases, we've tried to partner with Ministry of Health to use the restroom facility at the health dispensaries. On both of those islands, the dispensaries have been closed. There's no health assistant. And so we're trying to work with them to gain access to those facilities where they do have restrooms. Both of them are within maybe 10, 20 feet of the school. Others, the children go home. where there is no restroom. And I know that that's not ideal. You know, I worked at an Outer Island high school for 3 years where the students did not have good restroom facilities, and I know that it affects the dignity of the learners, and it's hard to learn when you have stomach issues or just regular, you know, needs. We need to give the student the respect that they deserve to have clean and operational restroom facilities. So there is a GEMFAC resolution that says we cannot use compact funding at schools that lack sanitation facilities. And so for this year's maintenance budget, which I think I mentioned was about $1.4 million, $1.184 million, that includes funding to work on those restrooms that the DFAT UNICEF project will not address, but it takes time. We have a limited facility staff, and we have a lot of people. On a positive note, this year the Rybrook Elementary School did get restroom facilities installed because they only had, I think, one facility for both boys and girls, and that was not a good way for them to operate. So now we did a grand opening for that in the springtime. So we're working on it, but it takes time. Thank you.
Kumol. Perorjona kaji dengan USP. May tamaga jab taibo mini. Igajian contribution of $60,000. That's a very generous amount. Can you explain what that is? And you're contributing $60,000 to, for what purpose?
Thank you, sir. Administrative cost, $60,000. This is normal operation cost for the program.
Well, not contributions.
Contribution of USP to the program.
Oh, okay. Kumol Dada, now I understand. And I other round tune and Minister Kalani Kaneo, Kumolganam, Kuba, the Gulu, and Raini. How many?
Kamol, Chairman, Ganan Kamulu, or excuse you, Gajaro, and not Gajaro, you got career logi and the Yoania. Pain Marong, Nodal, Miridilo. Chairman, Ganan Kaudi, Oliver in Rado, Minister in Oliver, Commissioner. Oliver Reservoir in President and CMI, Oliver Reservoir and Commissioner Ranger, Reservoir and Ministry and Education, Sports and Training. Your road, Mr. Chairman, Modadagan Kaudi Oliver Chono Turum, Kilim Kaudi Manet Kavung Kian Olive, when Kajabaragodian, Awan Kaudi Chachonganot. Kajito Junona Ijang Arbor Walling up, and like a young Lale, Chuani budget submission and Education Human General Fund, Chuani Jan and Community Advisory Board for Nan Lemol Gino Tajin Chibuki or Gino Tala. Kajito Nan clarify the Chinese Cherbalanganta, Emarong the Community Advisory Board in composition one pen Emanar Melele. You join Mr. Chairman Eduardo Konono vocational training, VOTEC, ilo majalin. Imijala ke matanero ko an National Training Council. Jadi kamu lo lihat kan cara balik inair, imlo air kata air pikut mejalan abang gain gap challenges gain mereka jangan phase agar menjadi majar phase. Iloan coba ijo merang bukair certification ni. Nodan ejalo kareng VOTEC school ilo terit. Ag mole alap kabeli penar menjadi majar. Matan menakoi kalla berburu kan lelok wanen ko rolla blok kana ke ejalo piba. Ejalo kajide ke kabeli beripir. Jamarong lukun melele emar ejap walo los budget submission ya itamang ilun awrak pe all of an operation ke an NTC feed into a strategic plan ngan tabar wawin go me nadan wawin go me ene kamana way nadan another opportunity ngan certify ki army rain me with certification ilo talagan majalin kajito koro ri kana aro Mr. Chairman tachub kano jalap komol.
Thank you, Senator. Minister Kaneko. So the community advisory boards were written into legislation in the PSS Act of 2013. At that time, they were called the local school boards, and they had specific responsibilities. Until this time, those boards have not been fully implemented. For example, they're meant to submit annual reports every July that includes a wide range of information, and until now that hasn't happened. And over time, I think it was determined that maybe that was too much responsibility for unpaid positions. And so those morphed into something called a community advisory board, and their responsibilities then shifted into more of an advisory role for the schools. So every for example, Neighbor Island Elementary School has one of these boards, and it's comprised of people from, say, for example, local church, local municipal council, women's groups, these kind of folks. And they help the principal, for example, with PTA or school celebrations. They also certify the school lunch payments to ensure that things are happening in an ethical way. And then part of the budget for that, we have about $40,000 a year allocated for what we call meeting fees. This is $150 per quarter per school. So that meeting fee might be used for refreshments or some other kind of expenses that they come up with each quarter. And then the other funding that's associated with the community advisory boards is for training. So we have a staff of 2 right now that go to each of the neighboring islands and provide training so that those board members understand their roles and responsibilities, that they understand how to create the agendas and the meeting minutes and these sorts of things that we use as the documentation for the $150 meeting fees. Also to help them understand how they can support the schools and ensure that they're not sort of overstepping the head teachers and principals, because it's a delicate balance. But that's what the community advisory boards are.
How many have we established and how many more?
Okay, how many have we established? I believe we have them established now at all of the neighboring islands, and now they're going to focus on the urban areas. The thinking was that they were more needed, more urgently needed in the neighboring islands, because here in the urban areas, it's easier for community members to come to the headquarters if there's an urgent issue, but that's the next step, is for the urban centers. Thank you.
Commissioner.
Chairman, one more over there.
Oh, Joe.
More Minister and Kajidago. Palay ni Bailo Darin, our Roy program di Kachong Tibalabe. Chuan and the American RPL, Recognized Prior Learning. Many nature waliban CMI giyo. CMI na tamani chuana na ikichene katamik. Maji kajong incorporate TVET ngan programin. Ruo yang mau jaga medar kanan kare marang ruo cilui kamatolak eba trade test. Mereka mana ilo ailing majalin cuan program yang aku jaga yang awak. Ya bawa bajar balik ilang experience yang bercet workshop kod dengan bertejin yang karangan feeling kod. Yang ini kualan jangan levelan kod beri. Bukan bello ibadah yang cilu level ke, cuan level yang laut wo mid im cilu supervisor. Menin indar jino kanan agam jatan dia jino lale mana tu balagam kemana bayan fidi ayu jenara yang lo majeli. Nampak yang bayan lat ayu jena cuan isi me majeli ayu ji. Baru laman tu le dalangan cikin cara balik cuan, eno dana kar senator ke dalang pakai ke yang kuat jalan ni. Jadi mereka jenis cepat bagi yar ada, jenis jauh jauh ni partner reinar CMI USP, nganar kacung tu bawah jauh mana kacung me ini cara malangan kejut. Tapi uak angin jam kabar kali kardok mall.
Mall USP. Please.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Just to add on to what the Director NTC have presented, I believe that in our submission, USP, as part of the funding that is provided for the RMI USP Joint Education Program, we were also supposed to be providing training on workforce development skills, especially for continuous vocational education and training. We have managed to move forward with that program. So for this year, NTC have supported us under the ESSP program by providing cohorts for 5 different areas. Cohort in IT, we've just completed that 2 weeks ago, and we were able to train 15 RMI staff who are already in the workforce. And we did that over 10 months, and we provided evening programs for them. And the certificate of accounting was completed last week. The other ongoing program is the certificate in human resource management, certificate in business administration, and we've just completed the certificate in counseling. It's an 8-week program in collaboration with the PSS, where we brought in teachers from the outer islands to train all counselors in all schools in Majuro and in the outer islands. And we brought in somebody from headquarters to conduct the training for us. We also include an induction and mentoring program for the Public Service Commission. And we were able to develop a training program, induction and mentoring program that includes learner's guide, teacher's guide. We did a analysis of the PAC regulation, including the latest Workers' Compensation Act as part of that training program. And the 11-module program was presented to PAC as part of our handing over program to the chief, including the Chief Secretary's office, in collaboration with the National Training Council. It also includes a child care center where World Bank has funded the program, looking at the plight of our female members of the USP, and we were able to put that in place, including our IT center this year. Thank you.
Kumuldara round row madanod yung rally yung minute taro jipendron so yung karele round row by ichalo round jilu round row vice speaker Isaac round row senator and chairman David Anidok.
Mall Chairman, Berodlo awan kile kuaro yang road, kana round room eliktada, road kacidat cukupun lat. Mulai kicen cakral mukana tu macam yang kadangin ajire ne no da mi melala changa jo kachong par kajabarop kap je melalok history kainar bijala agar waleng da history majal dan katagen jabar to yalo cegana em cari chen par curriculum charbana jo na oro me dwar balong da kage kichen nuclear legacy na dan kachito ko regana jelaga ne we ingran kalau kata cuma kajen kamolol charbal gen ramman an PSS ko punya ngalip ilori age ngalip kumit periem kalau gari ne cepo de pajadi nare moda
Joji mon malon gen wako.
Thank you, Senator Anotok. We have the social studies curriculum covers from kindergarten through 12th grade. And within that curriculum, there's a significant portion of it dedicated to Marshallese history, and that there are some resources that we've, over the years, developed to teach that content, including the Marshallese history book. And we're currently working on an atlas. Unfortunately, we're having some issues around copyright with the contractor that we're working with, but eventually there will be a Marshallese atlas that talks all about every atoll in the country, all of the sort of important history and sites. The nuclear legacy is taught through both of those documents, as well as through other resources such as different videos and things. And I'm happy to provide more details to anyone who would like to see. I'm happy to copy or scan pages and things. I think it's really important that even adults have access to this kind of learning, because I think many current adults in the Marshall Islands came up through the school system during a time when these topics were not taught in the way that they're being taught today. So maybe we can have a conversation on how we can do that later. But in the current budget, for sure, we are continuing to work on social studies resources that are place-based and culturally sustaining. Thank you.
Kabul Dada Commissioner. Nan rebabe orwad chuna kajidik. Enagar ro kajidik juan ina ililing dolu nitijela. Clarification of our custom. Pili neberi agi aga ene juan ko jawai ko juwa pangane ililing dolu nitijela. Mr. Minister, policy meaning on government. Em kerja ko ene jene gia. Cemarong lalenge cemarong udalo jirik. Agent Marshall Island Scholarship Grant and Loan Board and Marshall Island Scholarship. Period. Cholo loan na. Pe kadabara naramai nampachuan uninan lap pajitanam. Pujen leling tak chalalo jan go ar. Chinjib kabang tujuru niri lair pigot chalalo jan. Chinlelo grant scholarship grant. Jawai ko juwa kiya nachu matan recommendation ko an PAC Public Account Committee and Pulen Common Program and scholarship what chap loan. Per loan ke chap kabang wadan ilo money inchang ag enana lo bukonan scholarship well receivable. Ako kanay ba jalan naga mantau kulo ya ke percuan dengan karologi dengan Minister TV Paul. Ako evaluasi dengan Minister Hidron, Minister Kalani Kanebo.
Mana ba komiro jelo dengan yo ruto lo jen komiro. Chairman Komol aga dan ngajilale totalin pajadian MOEST. Laba na yan radam yon 0.1 million. Chairman ngay marong kajiri ben kajojo romel won lab increase lo budget ko air kajojo royeng jari ber mari ke increase in budget yo ilo ijo rojer rogi kala je nge kala ya Jogojat. Ramarong ko along kami din. Tago cheni loi meni yalablog improvement. Cheni kakaman malap charwalo ami jang pe armijen mayal ren lagi ke cheni nai ral projen bar adalangan ministerian jalalo jam chamarong orjirik tago komengani kamani yang labalago ko tangan improve ikijen area ko komenga jeriogi kacita ko rin chairman komol
Minister Malot.
Komol chairman and barko de joduan kami dem kacita ko manjan ministerin lo mol labalawan chairman judo jan unfunded liability karena bijar hijau jugi enot kami me rarjam matan budget haralak yudok kan kapi kira real matok akai colok kacita ke ayu jilang gudak lo chongan chainin kacit mene alikarin lo chongan chainin emeron jab ko baik chainan ajab ko baik chainan ayu jilang gudak emelang aru jerro elapta ada kamnyang lo chigin jala rujar bakam jangan lolur jare akai lengan labalakane enot wawin kana merar pukcigir jadi kauman olak monen mangai hidok mangai kana ragai lengan ajiri kajarabal pula percadero ko merar hidok ngan cigin lagi hidok cigini kure kana ragai hidok ella jaragi alap labalakonen cibang kana ngan private school cibang kana ngan scholarship alibin wawin ngan hidok lagi ju kubai pendron hidok ngan congan lapalakonen mecejloy hanga ko nila budget cycle jangan walak jangan siling ajar kacir menjar wadi wak kacir kawin cakap kamani kan ayu jikane kanak cuan cene me yakaru terin akia cene ayu jin pugot kile nirre malak nirre malak cep pugot iwat aglia tak bakam jangan balale tayo cemerong kamane ngan kakajur lah cara balik ini kijen calai kalau je mewah kacir kam kumoi
Komolem lukun irin ana yelagi ini dengan Minister Apprro.
Saya komol la chair kanam kile ke jorom ini perinjuan cara wilawla balang ngiban kenege eberl adan language commission ujin sisi lisi kata nerpa aku ikan roji cuan rorum lalem makai cuma kan commission mai
Iber
Ewa, kemelat mangin kiro yar kedemi, top kenom. Ewa, ini kejam lagi ini Mr. Chairman, komol.
Komol kan kejam lana. Ini kejam apa? Ewa. Kejam lok yarong ngaraj, an kemidi ni pen. Chicken jala loyan, Minister itu ko aru jine mol kan ami yang cari itu Oliver Rain me rare ke ini human ministry am jadi kun kam mol lo hela mela lo je pugi kiel kan rale iki jen cerbal kanan chala loyan Peranu lewat kamu dengan kumjang alip, dengan ranjiwan cuguluin, ranjiwan ubi gencet ancala loyan. Kamu jangan lupa kanu jenam mall, ejam lok, emeriri lok earring ada yang iluat dengan rainin. Mungkin jalan. Kita ya cinta lebih. Tapi pulau kamera jualnya jam kerja. Ilorane iliju cuanawa NC ruawa EPSO bikuat ciluawa PSC emenawa EPA. Mangkano jenmol.